What do you got, Coach? 3 things that all coaches need. Who would you put on your Mount Rushmore of coaches?
New York or the Aces? Definitely going with the Aces.
All right, 4th down. Who has the tougher job, coaches or officials? If you could have any superpower, what would it be and why? For Texas, it's different. Welcome to the Coaches Co-op. We are fresh off of all kind of technical difficulties. It's all my fault. Listen, I'm your host, Coach P. I'm back with our expert in all things concerning the WNBA Tay. She is here to serve up a fresh pot of hot tea for tea time. Then we're going to dissect the current standings, team surprises before we dive deep into Tay's tops. Her top picks and updates for Rookie of the Year, Most Improved Player, MVP. She's going to give us her Player of the Week. And we may even throw a little surprise in here. Last but not least, we're going to help you get your money right with Tay's Parlays. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage with your real hands and your virtual hands, WNBA Tay. How you doing today?
I'm great.
Listen, we are just a couple of high school coaches who want to share with you our love for the game. We are fans, okay? We are fans of the game, and we definitely want to share our fandom with you and maybe even educate you if you don't know a whole lot about the WNBA. We're going to start with hot tea. Okay, this is for the casual fan, those who may not watch every day, those who may not check box scores, but you just want to keep up with what's going on in the WNBA. So, Tay, what do you have for this week's hot tea?
Listen, everybody, people who don't even watch women's basketball were calling me, asking me if I saw somewhat of a brawl that took place in the Connecticut versus Indiana game. Right. I think that was Wednesday night, maybe Tuesday night. But that's the latest tea. You have, Caitlin Clark, who Stephen A. Smith says instigates things, right? With flopping, pushing off.
I don't disagree with Stephen A.
I don't disagree either, but I do think that when you shoot the ball and when you hoop like Clark, you can do things like that if you can back it up. But that rival between her and the Connecticut Sun player JC Sheldon, that goes way back to their conference play in college. So she was really riled up, which led to their teammates getting really riled up over them, and led to JC Sheldon and Caitlin Clark's teammate Sophie Cunningham getting into a little bit of a scuffle. So JC went up for the layup. Cunningham grabbed her by the neck, and then there were no words after that. No words, all hands. So social media is in a frenzy about that and what they think should have taken place: suspensions, ejections, fines, etc.
So what we're seeing with the WNBA, and I wonder if, what's the Fever's coach name? Stephanie White?
Stephanie White.
I'm wondering if her absence, it was for personal reasons, but I wonder if there's a little bit of connection between what the officials are doing in game versus what the WNBA is doing post game with rescinding a lot of these calls and Stephanie White's criticism of the officials. She said
that's possible.
Yeah, she talked about, hey, their job, she said their job is hard, talking about the officials. Then she said their job is hard, talking about the players. Mm-hmm. And then she said they're getting better, talking about the players. And then she said they're not getting better, talking about the officials. So that was some tough talk there from Stephanie White. Tough talk there from Stephanie White. Okay, Tay, Thank you for that hot tea. We are going to, let me see if I can actually do this correctly this time. I'm going to share my screen. We are going to talk about our standings, okay? We're going to talk about our standings. Let me get them up here on the screen, okay? Let me get it in presentation mode. So we're going to go ahead and look at these WNBA standings. That's not it. See, I can't even get the thing up here right. Here we go. All right. We got it on the screen. Hopefully you can see it. At some point, so here are the current standings. Mm-hmm. Last time we met, there were 2 undefeated teams in the league. That was 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So the Liberty have since lost twice. So you got the Minnesota Lynx, both of our favorite, in the first spot. Mm-hmm. The Las Vegas Aces, who have been a dominant team in the league for a few years, they're sitting all the way down in that 8th spot. Okay. So comparing these standings, this is the top 8 versus what we actually chose. All right. We got the Minnesota Lynx right there at the top. Okay. And we're going to talk about why the Lynx are so damn good in just a little bit. Okay. The Liberty, the Mercury, your surprise team, the Atlanta Dream, holding strong in that 4th spot, followed by the Seattle Storm. And then, did you watch Golden State last night?
I did.
Listen, I think everything that is wrong with the Aces is everything that's right about Golden State.
I agree. Losing
the coaches and then just letting Kate Martin walk. I don't understand that. Indiana Fever sitting in that 7th spot, and then the Aces once again sitting in that 8th spot. You had the Dallas Wings initially in that 7th spot. We know where they are. We know where they are.
We do.
So let's talk about this just a little bit. Again, that top 8 is what it is. Are there any good or bad surprises since the last time we met?
I don't think there are any good or bad surprises. Honestly, I think everything that's listed is what I expected at this point in the season. I wouldn't say preseason, but at this point in the season, it's all starting to come together. There are no good or bad surprises on my end.
So the Liberty, let's talk about the Liberty a little bit. So they got 2 losses in the last week. Mm-hmm. Almost blew another one to Atlanta, had a 17-point deficit against Atlanta, and were able to come back and win that game. Are we seeing maybe some cracks in the Liberty's armor?
No, I don't think necessarily. I think that Jonquel Jones had been injured, and she did get re-injured last night. She returned yesterday, and she got re-injured, went down grabbing, looked like her knee. And we all know when a player goes down grabbing their knee, they're crying. It usually doesn't turn out good, so we're praying for the best for Jonquel Jones. But she is the most important, I'd say, presence on the team. So when she's missing, obviously they're missing, right, the core, a big piece of the core of the team. So, and I think that's ultimately what led to their 2 losses, because we know that when the Liberty played the Fever, who gave them their first loss this season, the first time, the New York came out on top, but that was due to Jonquel Jones's play in the 4th quarter. So without her to help them close out that game, I think that's ultimately what led to the loss. So, I think that they'll find ways to fill in the gap, but it is a big hole to fill with her being gone.
Okay. I just made mention of Golden State. Mm-hmm. They're sitting at 500. Watching the game last night, the energy in that building. Yeah. That's a good team. There was one young lady I wasn't very familiar with. I'm so unprepared, and I apologize for that. The rookie. Mm-hmm. I thought the rookie played really, really well last night. What is it about Golden State in your eyes that has them 12 games through the season? It's a 40-game season. Mm-hmm. So this season is a sprint. It's not so much a marathon. So a third of the way in, they're sitting in a playoff spot. What's working for Golden State?
Well, obviously, we have to give credit to the coach. Natalie, I think she's a great coach. As you said, came from Vegas. So I think her pen is golden. She's out there. She's putting Golden State in some really great actions. And then Kayla Thornton made a good comment, who is a guard for the Valkyries. She made a comment that we're a team full of 6 women, so we know how to win. And I think those are players. The team is compiled of players who were the enforcers or tough players or the hard defenders. So every single player on the roster knows how to play hard. So that's what I think. That's what's leading them to their wins and their success.
So Kayla Thornton's got championship experience.
She does.
Right? Letitia, who came out of South Carolina, was probably my favorite player.
Mine too.
She was there. I thought she was the most pro ready out of all of those kids that they had. And then they got Tip Hayes and her ugly jump shot.
And her sloppy self.
Yeah, that's a ton of experience there. So that's a solid team. All right, I do want to ask this question, okay? Because while I did make the comment that I thought Seattle had a boring roster.
You did.
And I still think that roster is boring. It's not a whole lot of flash to it, but that's a good basketball team.
Listen.
Seattle, a legit contender.
Listen, when I made my original preseason picks, you disagreed with Seattle and you made some comments.
I did.
You made some comments, so I've been waiting on you to take accountability. That's why I have my shirt on here. But see, while they are a boring roster, they're an experienced roster. You have one of the most experienced and competitive point guards, one of the best forwards to ever play in Nneka Ogwumike. Then you have Gabby Williams. Gabby Williams is a France player. France was a step behind winning a gold medal this year or in the last Olympics. If the player, and it might have been Gabby Williams who shot that shot, but made the game-winning shot, had her foot just been a toe behind the three-point line, France would have won a gold medal. So she has that type of experience. She's gritty. She's a player that's not afraid of contact. And then you have all the role players, right, that fill in, like Erica Wheeler, Ezzie McAdor. You have the rookie, the number 2 pick in the league, also coming from France, who's a 7-footer. And then their coaching staff is compiled of some great coaches as well. So we're talking about experienced, passionate, and competitive players.
Definitely experienced, definitely competitive players. You initially picked them. You had them in that 5 spot. That is actually where they stand right now. While I said what I said, I had them in that 4 spot. So 7-5. In my opinion, is not going to cut it, because what we're talking about in the playoff format of the WNBA is we're not talking about a finals matchup with a team like the Minnesota Lynx if the standings would stay pat. We're talking about a semifinal matchup with Minnesota. So it's really going to come down to, can Seattle beat Minnesota?
And Minnesota's only loss this year has come to Seattle. So, I don't know exactly what it is that they were able to put together on their scouting report to pull out that win versus, but it wasn't a close win. It was a 8 or 9 point win, so we'll see how the rest of their matchups this season go. But I think that they are the team that has what they need to compete. You have Nneka, who can compete with Napheesa Collier in the post, and then everyone else matches up accordingly. So if anybody can guard her, I think it'll be Nneka Ogwumike.
Okay, solid matchup. All right, listen, we are going to, Tay, I got you on the screen by yourself. I didn't mean to do that. Let's do this here. All right, there we go. All right, so we're going to get back to the conversation in just a second. But here at the Coaches Co-op, we're about building championship level systems on and off the court. This episode is brought to you by the sponsor that we don't have just yet. Listen, iron sharpens iron, and real growth happens when coaches support coaches. We are in the Coaches Co-op. It's the Co-op and WNBA Tay. All right, let's get back to it, Tay. All right, so we're going to talk about your tops. So we're going to go into this next segment, and we're going to talk about Tay's tops. I'm going to see if I can actually get my screen right the first time. Okay, because I want to make sure that I share this and everybody can see this.
Okay.
All right. So here we go. These were our standings. Now we're going to go into Tay's tops. Okay, listen. These are your two candidates for player of the week. Okay, so we're going to clip this up today, and we are going to let our watchers and listeners vote for who they think should be the player of the week. So you have Angel Reese and Alyssa Thomas. So I put their stat lines underneath each. 12, 9, and 3, 11, 13, and 11. First triple-double for Angel Reese and a win. And then on the 17th, she went 17, 10, and 5. And then Alyssa Thomas is just doing what Alyssa Thomas does. She's putting up Alyssa Thomas numbers. Look at these numbers. 14, 6, and 13. 14, 8, and 11. And then backdoors that with an 18 and 15 with 7 assists, all in wins. So talk about your two candidates for player of the week and why these are your two choices for player of the week.
Yeah, I think you explained it. Angel Reese, and I kind of broke it up East and West because, I got to give Angel Reese credit for her first career triple-double. So I think that was big for the league in general to see, a forward come. She's playing a little bit of point forward these last couple of games. So she was able to rack up 11 assists. So got Angel Reese just because of, her being able to cash in that first triple-double. But Alyssa Thomas, putting up Alyssa Thomas numbers, like you said, and then a 3-0 record for the week and a W, right, versus the New York Liberty. So I think that all ties it together. So honestly, if we had to choose one, I'm going to go ahead and vote Alyssa Thomas. But if we're going to break it up East and West, Angel Reese, Eastern Conference Player of the Week, I can see that. I can see that flyer being posted. In Alyssa Thomas Player of the Week in the Western Conference, I can see that.
So I think you're on to something with Angel Reese playing that point forward spot. I think because here, bottom line is Chicago's got to win more games.
Yeah.
Chicago's got to win more games. And I think Angel Reese has an incredibly high basketball IQ. So I think them running the offense through her can be very, very productive for them because we talked about this on the last episode. The guard play is just not, it leaves a lot to be desired. Let's put it that way. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Let's move on to our next top. Let's see what we got here. All right. Rookie watch. Okay. So 3 names that you brought up last week. Sonia Citron, Paige Beckers, and Kiki Iriafin. Okay. Go ahead. We talked a little bit earlier before we started recording, and we went stock down just a little bit on Sonia Citron. So talk about your rookies and talk about what you're seeing from them or what you saw from them in the last couple of weeks.
Okay. And first I want to start off by saying I did leave one off. Tahina Powell. She's beginning to get a little bit more comfortable with the Atlanta Dream. I think she scored 16. Yeah, Powell, about 16 points, maybe and a half in an Atlanta game the other day. But so I can't forget to mention Powell. But Citron, her numbers have been tanking just a little bit. Washington hasn't been making the same level of noise that they were at the beginning of the season. Same with Kiki Iriafin. Those double numbers are kind of starting to drop a little bit. But Paige Beckers is back from concussion protocol. And in her first game back, she was able to drop 35 points.
35-piece
nuggets. So with that being said, Paige has moved to the top of my list. And then they were able to cash in on another win. So they have just 2 wins, but hey, impacting winning is important.
And we're going to talk about this a little later, but they're going to have a chance to get their 3rd win, I think later on tonight. Okay. Most improved.
Yes.
All right. So listen, let me say this before you talk about Alicia Gray. I think Alicia Gray should be on your MVP watch list.
I agree.
Eastern Conference Player of the Month. Look at the numbers. Those splits are nice. All right. I asked you if you wanted to add anybody to this list. we may need to add somebody to this list because she might be moving off of this list onto the other list.
I just think it's hard for anybody to beat Napheesa Collier, and we're talking about MVP battles, especially with the way that she's impacting winning. So yes. when I put Alicia Gray on the most improved watch list, it's to say she's making an immense amount of noise, and she needs to win something. And if she's going to win an award, I believe it's going to be most improved this year. If she keeps putting up the numbers, right, the growth in her points per game, her rebounds per game. She had, I want to say, 36 points in a game just the other night. I just don't see, fans in a league officials voting for a guard over the likes of Breanna Stewart and Napheesa Collier, especially with the way their teams are performing.
Not an argument from me. So we could see Alicia Gray win most improved and be runner-up for WNBA MVP.
Yes, exactly. I think that she'll be at the top of the list in terms of votes. Okay. No disagreement from me. All right. So now we go to here's our MVP watch. Okay. Here's our MVP watch. So I went a couple of stock up, stock down initially, but I'm gonna let you go first, and then I'll talk about why I got some people going stock down here. Yeah, and I agree with this list. Breanna Stewart, like I said, with Jonquel Jones being out, she has really taken over. Napheesa Collier is solid. She's been consistent. Asia Wilson out with a little bit of concussion. I think she had maybe a concussion. I think she's going through concussion protocol. Her team is they're just not very successful thus far this season. And she honestly, even before her concussion, she was not impacting her team. The way that we've seen her in previous years, her numbers were very below average, very below dominant that she usually is. Ryan Howard, and Ryan Howard, I think she's an amazing candidate, but we just talked about her teammate, Alicia Gray. Alicia Gray's taking over and saying, hey, this is my team. Now, when it comes to Aaliyah Boston, her stock has dropped, in my opinion, only because Caitlin Clark missed a few games. We all know that Caitlin Clark being on the floor with Boston makes her so much better. She's so much better. Her numbers are so much better. She's so much more efficient when Clark's on the floor. So with the loss of Clark on the floor, we saw Aaliyah Boston struggle.
Yes. And that is the reason I gave her stock down as well. Yeah. So her numbers aren't bad, right? 13, 8, and about 4 assists per game, shooting almost at a 60. Listen,
she's leading the league in field goal percentage.
That's a phenomenal number, but the struggle. So when I watch her play, we talk about Aaliyah Boston at the beginning of every season. And I say the same thing since she's been a pro at the beginning of every season. I think the season starts, and I think this may be a WNBA problem because I don't know if the players are in shape because we see injuries early.
We do.
We see injuries early. Aaliyah Boston looks better now, but I always think she looks just a tad bit out of shape when the season begins. I'm going to tell you, here's what I want, okay? Here's the take.
Okay.
I need Aaliyah Boston to come down to Houston and spend a summer with the Dream. I need her to spend a summer with Akeem Olajuwon.
Okay. I
because
like that.
When I watch her footwork, she's not creating enough space with her feet. And I think that could be impacting some of her offensive numbers. Okay. Looking at Napheesa Collier, 50, 40, 90. I don't care what level you play on. When your splits are shooting 50% from the field, 40% from 3, 90% from the free throw line.
Excellent.
You're the MVP. You're the defensive player of the year. There's nobody in this league that is better than you. Now, here's something we need to look out for with Breanna Stewart. Breanna Stewart is shooting 22% from the three-point line. That is not very good. So if she doesn't start shooting the ball better from there, it's possible that defenses make her one-dimensional. And if defenses start to make her one-dimensional with the absence of Jonquel Jones in the near future, I wonder if that could impact New York a little bit more. I thought you were on point with Asia Wilson. I don't think Ryan Howard is the best player on her team. Her shooting numbers, she's a volume shooter.
Mm-hmm.
I love watching her play.
Yeah.
Love watching her play, but she's a volume shooter. I think it takes her too many shots
to get going,
to get what she gets. And then Nneka Ogwumike, she's just a legacy MVP candidate.
Absolutely.
She's always been one of the best players in the league and has always been snubbed just a little too much. Just a little too much. Okay. Any last thoughts on the MVP list before we go to what's next?
No, I think we hit it.
All right. I don't know what's next. Let me see. Oh, here we go. Tay's top enforcers. Okay, so this is something new. Every week, we're going to bring you something new in Tay's tops. Listen, here's what you need to do. I need y'all to go and follow Marina Mabry's sister, Dara.
Yes.
I need y'all to go and follow her on social media because she has clips of she and their mother watching Marina play. Y'all, it's the funniest thing. All right. So Marina Mabry is about that life.
She is. New Jersey.
She wants all the smoke. She wants all the smoke. So let me ask you this. Now, enforcers are, every game has enforcers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Every game has enforcers. NFL, they're going to protect their quarterback.
Right.
If a late hit happens on the quarterback, one of those linemen is going to come over and he's going to pile drive whoever it was who did it. Okay? Baseball has enforcers. It's usually a pitcher.
The pitcher.
Okay? You throw at somebody,
they're throwing back.
They're throwing back at you. Okay? The NBA has enforcers. So I don't want y'all to think that we are shedding a negative light on the WNBA. Competition has enforcers.
Absolutely.
If you had to choose an enforcer to start your team, so they usually say, all right, if you're going to draft a team and you're going to pick this player or that player, all right, everybody does that. But my question for you, Tay, is if you had to pick one of these enforcers to be on your team, who are you picking? Marina Mabry or Sophia Cunningham?
Listen, I have to go with Marina Mabry. Now, the thing that separates the two of them is that Marina is, in a way, her own enforcer. She's the enforcer for herself. Okay. No one else is going to do it for her. She's kind of like Clark in a sense where she's someone who instigates and initiates, and then she backs it up. She's her own enforcer.
Yes.
Yes. And then with Sophie Cunningham, it's tough. It's close. Well, we've seen these two players get into scuffles and arguing matches and hair pulling competitions with many players over the course of the last few years. But I have to go with Mabry.
Listen, I enjoy watching both of them play.
Absolutely.
Because both of them can play.
Yes.
Right? Both of them can play. Marina Mabry, her game is not flashy, but she will shoot it from the same distance almost as Caitlin Clark will, right? And she can make it. Sophia Cunningham can put the ball in the basket as well. But neither one of them are ducking the smoke. Okay.
Neither.
Woo! I think that's it. Let me stop sharing. Okay. Woo! Y'all need to watch more women's basketball. Okay. So if you are just a casual fan of the game, that's okay. That's what we're here for. We are here to educate you on what's going on in the WNBA, right? If you're going to get your WNBA news from X or Twitter, I don't know what it's going to be like over there. right?
Yeah.
You might be tuning in just because of the drama if that's where you get your news from. So here on the Coaches Co-op, we're going to give both sides of the game to you. Okay, so we've done our hot tea. We've gone over our standings. We've talked about our surprises. We talked about, is Seattle a legit contender? We've talked about the great surprise that are the Golden State Valkyries. And then we just hit the tops. Player of the week. Okay. Rookie watch. There's only one player in line for most improved player, according to WNBA Tay. And I wholeheartedly agree with her. We talked about our MVPs and those people that you need to be watching for MVPs. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to help you get your money right. Let me see. I'm going to call Britt. Let me see if Britt is going to pick the phone up, okay?
Uh-oh.
Because you know she don't know how to act.
She does not.
Okay, so we're going to help you get your money right. So we're getting ready to do Tay's Parlays. We are recording this. It is Friday, June 20th. Friday, June 20th. So we're going to give you Tay's Parlays for tonight's games, okay? But we got to make sure Britt is tuned in. All right. We're going to give you Tay's Parlays for tonight's games. Okay. So Friday night games. She's not picking up. She's going to have to catch it on the backside. Ma'am, are you watching us live on Instagram? We about to do Tay's Parlays. Okay, thank you. So not on my personal page. You got to go to Podcast with Prejean. You need to. All right. So we have our resident parlay picker, right? So, all right, Tay. Here we go. Friday's games.
Okay.
So we got 3 games tonight. We got Washington, 5-7 Washington at Atlanta. We got 2-11 Dallas. They got a chance to get a third win tonight. They're at 2-10 Connecticut. And then we have Seattle and Vegas. That's a big game tonight, especially if Asia Wilson doesn't play. Even if she does play, it's a big game. Okay, so Friday night's games. We got the 5-7 Washington Mystics and the 8-4 Atlanta Dream. We're going to give you 2 picks for each game. All right. We're going to give you 2 picks for each game. All right, here we go. Both of these players are from Atlanta. We've talked about both of them today. Alicia Gray, over under 17.5 points.
Over.
All right. Over on Alicia Gray. Then we're going to go Ryan Howard, 17.5 points.
Over.
All right, so we got 2 overs right there. Now we're going to the battle for the bottom. 2-11 Dallas at 2-10 Connecticut. All right, we talked about both of these women tonight as well. So we're going to go Paige Beckers for the Dallas Wings. 28.5 points, rebounds, and assists.
28. 29. I'd go over.
Okay. Over. All right. The Enforcer, Marina Mabry, 16.5 points.
Over.
All right. So the trend is over.
The trend is over tonight.
The trend is over.
It's Friday night.
We got one more game. 7-5 Seattle Storm. Y'all heard me say earlier, 7-5 is not good enough for me. They're going down to Vegas. Asia Wilson is still questionable for tonight's game. Okay. Now we talked about this young lady earlier, so I had to make sure I put her in here. We got Gabby Williams, 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists.
Over.
Over.
She does it all. She does it all.
She does it all. She fills the box score. All right.
She does it all.
Now we're going Skylar Diggins. 17.5 points. We got people over here in the Instagram chat talking. Britt is over there talking about that seems a little shaky. How much money do I need to put down? If you got to ask that question, you need just give me the money.
Absolutely.
Just give me the money. If you
don't trust us, just pass it on.
Right. Just pass it on. All
Listen,
right.
It's Friday night. They're competing. It's Friday night. I think everybody's going for the most. And like he said, that Dallas game, it's the battle of the bottom.
That's right. So that nobody wants to be in last place.
Nobody.
All right. So going back to Seattle and Vegas, we said over for Gabby Williams, 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Skylar Diggins, 17.5 points.
Under.
All right. So I'm going to run back down the list.
Okay.
I'm going to run back down the list in case y'all missed it. Alicia Gray, 17.5. This is Washington at Atlanta. Alicia Gray and Ryan Howard, 17.5. We're going over for both of them on points. Dallas at Connecticut, the battle of the bottom. We're going over for Paige Beckers, 28.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Over. And we're going over for Marina Mabry, 16.5 points. Last game of the night, Seattle at Vegas. Should be a good one. Gabby Williams, we're going over 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And then we're going under for Skylar Diggins at 17.5. All right. What time do these games start tonight? Let's see. We're talking, I want to say you got 6:30 Eastern starts.
Mm-hmm. Usually that's about right.
Not 6:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central. Does that sound right?
Yes.
So 6:30 Central starts for Washington at Atlanta and Dallas at Connecticut. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to be about 9 o'clock Central Time or 9:30 Central Time for Seattle and Vegas.
Yes.
All righty. That is Tay's Parlays. Listen, thank you for joining us on the Coaches Co-op. Big thanks to today's guest, WNBA Tay, for sharing all of her WNBA knowledge with you. Listen, we're just here to educate you. So we give you tea in the beginning, we give you picks at the end, and in the middle, we give you all of the good stuff. All right, so if you are walking away with new insight or new energy into the WNBA, then we did our job. So what do we need you to do? We want you to like, follow, subscribe, tell somebody about us. Get in here, leave your comments, tell us how we did. And remember, in the Coaches Co-op, we do what most people can't. My name is Coach P for WNBA Tay. We're out, and we'll see y'all next time.